everyone. I just wanted to take a second and discuss what I think the largest overarching problem is with Destiny right now. And I just want to make it clear, like, I'm saying this as a person who loves Destiny and very much wants it to succeed. I still play a hell ton of this game, more than the vast majority of people. And I've seen a lot of my friends, more than usual, get burnt out. A lot of people leaving temporarily and that sort of thing. And so I just want to talk about why I think now more than ever we're seeing a lot of people being burnt out and unhappy with the state of things. And I really think it has to do with a lot of either Bungie's mentality or their ability to make quick changes, and kind of how that leads to stagnation, or the lack of quick changes leads to stagnation in the Destiny universe. And I feel ever since COVID, and ever since, especially the last 2 years of Destiny, everything just feels very stagnant. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of dynamic changes going on in the Destiny universe, and things like maybe the meta changes pretty quickly based off of our feedback and statistics and stuff like that. But really, in the PvE side of things, in the kind of game mode update side of things, and especially in the seasonal side of things, excuse me, that has not been the case. So I think, for instance, I have a couple examples here. My first example is going to be Trials. So we first learned about the revamp to Trials, the flawless pool, and the new playlists and stuff over a year ago, in August of 2021. And they say down here at the bottom, as always, we reserve the right to adjust scheduling as needed, and we'll be listening closely to your feedback. And I don't doubt that they're listening to our feedback, but there has been a lot of feedback regarding the flawless pool, or things like freelance trials and this sort of thing. And Bungie hasn't changed or really addressed anything that I can remember since. And we're seeing, like, we just had the lowest week of trials in terms of participation since it relaunched 2-3 years ago, whenever the hell that was. And so, like, that's to be expected. We're towards the end of the season and that sort of thing, but there's just not a lot of feedback there, or we're giving a lot of feedback, but Bungie's not reciprocating that. There's not a lot of communication. My next example is going to be Gambit. Gambit a couple of seasons ago got a huge change, and they did all these revamps and stuff. And once again, down here at the bottom, they say, we've really enjoyed playtesting it, and we're going to listen to your feedback and make adjustments. And this was 3 seasons ago, and they haven't said, to my knowledge, once again, anything about Gambit. There's a lot of complaints about Gambit. Moats going through the floor, and too much heavy ammo, and just a bunch of stuff. Just nothing about Gambit, and I feel like Bungie has this tendency, where I'm going with this is, they have this tendency to so they'll introduce something and they'll let it go, and then they'll let it stagnate, and then they'll let us complain about it, and then 3-4 seasons later, then they'll change it. Because it feels like, and I'm so sorry to any Bungie people watching this, I'm really not trying to be a backseat developer. I'm just trying to provide some of my feedback and how I feel about this. It feels like they don't start really working on it, or at least they don't let us know they're working on it until we start complaining. But let's give an example. So a couple seasons ago, I don't remember if this was with Shadowkeep or Beyond the Light, but with one of those, we got the Legendary Lost Sectors. I think it was with Beyond Light, and we get every season 3 new pieces of legend or exotic gear, and they only come from Legendary Lost Sectors. But that's just that happens every season, and so, like, it was really cool the first couple of seasons, and I still really like Legend and Master Lost Sectors. I think they're really cool, but it's just the same. It feels the same every season now, and so we need more dynamic stuff. Maybe some seasons we have random drop exotics. Maybe sometimes they come from other things. I just feel like always having 3 come from the same activity every single season, when that activity is really just getting easier and easier every season, it doesn't feel like fun. It's just not a lot of fun. So sorry, that's kind of a good example of that. I think another example is going to be like seasonal events. So seasons, I talk about this a lot, and I'm sorry if you have to listen to it a lot, but I truly think like the lack of like community events or community puzzles or secret exotic missions and that sort of thing is really hurting the game, because those things are what made every season feel drastically different. You know, if you think about, if you just take the content, you know, and before you rush down the comments, like really hear me out. If you just take the content that we got in Season of the Dawn and you compare it to the content that we got, let's say in Season of the Haunted, it's about the same amount of content. You know, we got an event, and Dawn did have Sundial. I guess we can compare it more to this season with Catch Crash. Those are more similar and that sort of thing. But there were only a couple missions in Dawn. There's a huge mission here, or a huge variety of missions this season. And then you have really the big thing that was just crazy was the Fractal, the Empyrean Foundation event. And that really set that season apart. And at least when I think of previous seasons, you know, it's the Empyrean Foundation, it's the Felwinter's Quest, it's Niobe Labs, it's the Almighty crashing down, it's the Darkness attacking the city. Like, it's all of these huge live events and community things and puzzles that really stand out in my mind. And I feel like now seasons are too similar to each other. So, I mean, they're trying cool stuff. So, like, we got the Leviathan patrol space last season. And that was cool. But I feel like in that, then they just had like a regular, I would say less than average, actually below average seasonal activity with Nightmare Containment. And so even though we got this awesome patrol space and it was really cool, a lot of people felt burned because it was just coming back from the DCV, and a lot of people don't like that. And then there were things like, you know, there were teases of like in Duality, there's a tease of the ritual or the tribute hall, and that doesn't come back. And so people don't really like that. And so people get kind of burned out there. But really, like, you have this awesome playable space and it's really cool. And then the entire season is predicated on running the most boring, not dynamic, stagnant activity that you can think of. And that really kind of took away the novelty of it, I think. And then I think this season, it blows my mind. Catch Crash is legitimately awesome. Like, I think Catch Crash is definitely one of the best seasonal activities that they've done. And trying to just think about my enjoyment objectively, I definitely enjoy it on the level of at least like Sundial. Like, it's a lot of fun. But most of everything, the triumphs and a lot of the weekly stuff, focuses on expeditions. And these are awful. Like, they're not interesting. They're not dynamic. It's literally the same exact thing every single time. It's not fast paced. It's not really that fun. The enemy density is lower than Catch Crash. Like, all of these things, they made such an amazing activity. And that was really cool and could help make this season feel a little bit better. And then they just force us to run this like really drawn out and dull playlist activity that just feels like running the same strike, the same boring strike over and over and over again. And then you also had the problems with like the triumphs where you pretty much have to sabotage your run to get ruffians and stuff like that. That didn't help. But my point is that these last couple of seasons, Risen, Haunted, and especially this season, have really felt the same. And like, these seasons are really lacking identity because there's none of these huge stable points to really make them stand out. And I think overall, I think the game is really suffering from stagnation. I think another example, great example, would be Master Raids. Like, we knew with Master Bog that Master Raids were kind of pointless, and then they added Master Adept weapons, and I guess those existed in Vogue too, Time Loss. But you know, really, again with Vow, we got Adept weapons, and then they were just worse than the crafting ones. They weren't that great, and that sucked. And we gave all that feedback, and then 6 months later, we get King's Fall, and nothing has changed. Adept weapons are still objectively worse than crafted weapons, and they didn't even mention it between that time. They've mentioned it now, but it was after King's Fall came out. And so there's this huge, like, Bungie will do something cool, like really cool, and then they'll just sit on it. And then any problems that we have with it, they wait until they hear that, or even longer to even talk about it. And I just feel like maybe the game, if possible, once again, I don't work at Bungie, I don't know, but I feel like the game would really benefit from a little bit more foresight and being more proactive and working on changes before we notice that they have problems, or before we start to really get uncomfortable and angry with how long things are taking. And so, yeah, I think overall stagnation has really plagued the game a lot lately, and that is leading to increased burnout because, of course, if you feel like, you know, oh, this season, every week we log in, you have a 5-minute quest, you have a weekly story mission, and you're done. And it's the same week on week on week, and you never get excited about anything different. You never really get hyped for anything because you know it's always going to be the same, and then you get really burnt out. And I feel like that's been happening to a lot of players. And I just kind of wanted to write my thoughts or put my thoughts in a single video. So let me know what you think. Let me know what type of player you are, how much you play Destiny and that sort of thing, and if you agree or disagree down in the comment section below. Once again, this was all from a place of love. I love this game. I love Bungie. I really want it to succeed. I kind of miss those more dynamic days where I felt like truly anything could happen, because especially after the joke patch notes recently, like I truly don't feel like a puzzle can happen any day now. And during the Warmind era and Forsaken and even through Shadowkeep, it truly felt like any day something could happen. And I miss that feeling. I really do miss that feeling, the mysterious feeling and the excitement and that sort of thing. Now it's every Tuesday. We do our 3 Orcs checkpoints to try to get touch, and then kill time until next Tuesday. So, sorry for the long video. I know I don't usually do discussion videos, but I'm very interested to see what you guys think. Let me know down below. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.